Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Michael Hartley with Action Coach. What needs to pivot in my business, kickstart your day, get you refocused, because business is changing daily right now. Good day. I am Dr. Michael Hartley, a non-medical type of doctor. I operate on business, and today's focus is two-part. One part you and one part what really needs to pivot in the business. So one part what may need to pivot and shift in you, and part two, what may need to shift and pivot in the understanding, more specifically, of your business. You see, in business, the only failure is the failure to participate. If you're not all in, if you're not participating every single day, all out, doing the things that are needed to move you and your business forward, then you're not there. The only failure in life and in business is the failure to participate, to give it all you got every single second. And I'll never forget working for an individual who owned about a $500 million business and fairly young in life, and happened to be fortunate enough to be in a meeting with the owner along with a whole bunch of others. And my role was to listen, take notes, learn, that kind of thing. And I'm sitting there, and they were talking through some strategic choices that the business had made and what the teams were doing. And one of the executives said to the owner, well, the team's giving it the best that they can. They weren't getting the results they were looking for and whatnot. This executive happened to say that to the owner. The team's giving it, they're doing the best they can. And the owner looked at him. He goes, well, if they weren't giving the best that they can, we wouldn't need them on our team, would we? And I found that in the moment, I didn't understand it, right? I'm really young, and I'm like, man, that's really kind of almost rude to say. Real kind of bold statement to make. And I was like, and then as I've matured and become a business owner myself and things like that, I realized, oh yeah, he's absolutely on point. You see, if you or your team is not showing up, not participating at the level at which they can, why would you desire for them to be on the team? And guess, yeah, everyone has off weeks and off days and things like that. We're talking about consistently all the time. You want a team of individuals as well as you to show up daily, to give it the best you possibly can daily. The only failure to in business is the failure to participate. So at what level are you looking to play the game? At what level are you looking to participate? You see, a runner, when they say go, who's all in is all in. And you know that from moment one. A runner who is like, well, I don't really care what place I end up finishing at. How often do you actually see that? Very rarely, where they get off the blocks and just kind of like, I'm just going to kind of mosey along the way. Look around, look at the people who are cheering, those kind of things. No, they're in it to win, and they show up. Most athletes have this ingrained into who they are. My question is do you have that ingrained into you? Are you showing up every single day? And if you're not, at what level do you need to step up your game? Maybe your vision of life isn't grand enough. Maybe if you're money motivated, what you want there. If you're people oriented, how much are you going to give back to others? I mean, depending on what drives you, could be your own family, could be a variety of different things. Depending on what drives you will determine really what you're looking to get out of the whole thing. So when we look at the level at which you play the game, first and foremost, whatever drives you, is it big enough? Is it pushing you to take you and your business to the next level? After this, we then look at the mindset of I know. You see, there are two critical areas, and technically three critical areas that I see the most successful people live daily in. First and foremost, they remove I know attitude. Second of all, they become the constant student, the forever learner. They are looking at every opportunity at what can I learn from it. And then the third one is they show up 100%. So this I know mindset, you got to remove that entire phrase out of your vocabulary. Replace it with things like, isn't that interesting? You see, if I'm having a conversation with you and you know everything I'm telling you, and you're just like, yeah, I know. What you're telling me is to shut up and move on. you're stopping the ability from potentially learning something that conversation could lead to. Instead of leaving it open-ended of, yeah, isn't that interesting how that happens like that, or what happens there, or whatever that may be. You don't know where the conversation could lead. You don't know what you may end up learning, or a different context around a principle that you may have learned, or something that you may know. Remove the I know attitude, remove the ego, check it at the door. Walk into every situation going, how do I participate all in to make sure that I can find something to learn in whatever this may be, with whomever I'm learning from or talking to? Which leads us to the first business principle today, which is cash is fact. Amount of cash in your account is fact. And if you don't fully understand it and how to get more of it and things like that, then when a thing like a pandemic hits or a recession hits, you're going to be a little bit in trouble. And so we must have the ability to understand cash and how it differs from profit, and how to get more of it. So that way we're good. So that way our team is good. So that way they don't have to worry about going into unemployment and things like that. They are solid. Cash is fact. And when we look at understanding your break-even point in your business, which is the point in which your expenses meet the sales, your revenue, we look at two different aspects. We looked at fixed costs and we looked at variable costs. So expenses incurred without needing to have sales is fixed. Variable is expenses incurred because you encountered sales. The more sales you have, the more your variable costs go up. Those are two aspects of your business to really dive into to understand. And you may need to look at it every quarter, because as your business grows, which it should be doing, as your business grows, these things will change. You'll add more team. You'll add different types of expenses to the business. Some expenses will just naturally go up. And that's okay. Your business is growing. That's a part of it. So understand what your expenses are. So that way we can then understand what your break even actually is. Break even being fixed cost plus profit divided by gross profit percentage, gross profit margin. These are the fundamentals of knowing what break even is, and you should bake your profit into your break even point. How much profit do I want to have at the end of the year? Per month, per day for some businesses. I'm going to add that to my fixed cost, and I'm going to divide it by gross profit margin. And you can see all the definitions of how to actually get there below. In fact, if you're watching this right now and you're like, I don't necessarily understand the finances of business, first and foremost, you should go read this book right here. The Ultimate Blueprint for an Insanely Successful Business by Keith Cunningham. Number one book. I believe there are two books that every single business owner should read. First one is The E-Myth, and the second one is this one. If I could, I would make it to where states, when they give you, when you sign the papers for your LLC or your C Corp, whatever that may be, they should make a requirement that before they give you the papers, you have to go read those two books. The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, and The Ultimate Blueprint by Keith Cunningham. So go read that. That's the first step. Second step will be, I'll walk you through that here in a second. So revenue, break even, revenue required just to break even, to cover costs with the profit baked in. Profit is the net profit goal, which is not gross profit, it's net profit after all expenses. Gross profit margin is here below. So gross profit, first and foremost, gross profit, not net profit. Gross profit is revenue minus variable cost. So cost incurred because you had sales. You take total sales minus those variable costs. That's going to give you your gross profit. Again, net profit is after all expenses. Gross profit margin then takes that number, so revenue minus your variable costs. It takes that number, whatever that is, and you divide that back into your total sales, your total revenue. That then gives you your gross profit margin. So then you have your fixed costs. You didn't get to decide how much profit you desire to have, and then you divide that sum, that total, by gross profit margin. When you understand what your break even is, you want to understand what it is per day. And if you have a ton of sales like a retail shop, you would look at it per hour. If someone like a real estate agent, they would look at this per month or maybe even per quarter. You see someone, or an architectural firm, right? Someone who has a longer sales process, a longer sales cycle, or larger projects, you look at it a little less often. Those who have consistent sales, nonstop, all day, every day, you want to look at this per hour per day. And then you want to look at it even in a more specific focus per team member. You see, when you add team, you must understand what's the path to getting them to be as profitable as quickly as possible. At what point can this individual joining my team become profitable for the business? And what's the cadence to actually get there? How fast can we achieve profitability? You want to look at this per individual. Bringing people onto your team, their responsibility is to build the business. And so we have to have a plan in place where they are not an expense, they are an investment, they are profitable for the business. And so you start looking at what this actually means for the entire business at that level of granularity. And now you have much better optics into the business. Another number as you build a team will be labor cost control. What percentage of your total sales, your revenue, is labor? What percentage of your sales are you giving back to the team? That's a number. It's going to be a percentage that you look at consistently, and you should set a threshold that it should always stay below, so that way the business stays profitable and the team is taken care of, all those kind of things. You got to look at all of that at the same time. This gives you the optics, and you put it in a dashboard that you can track, test, and measure. And your CPA, your bookkeeper adds, clarity to what all that means. You see, when you understand these type of optics on your business, it's going to allow you to run it far more effectively. So this is where we begin. So I mentioned, step one was reading the book by Keith Cunningham. Step two is on Wednesday of this week, actually, of the week this gets recorded. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can always still join any of our paid for virtual workshops. You'll just watch the recording instead of being live with it. But cash is king. And we're going to walk through 350 different ways to increase it into your business. We're going to walk through more of these formulas and how to understand the financials of your business. We're going to walk through how to understand certain ratios of your business and which ones to look at and what means healthy and what isn't healthy. So join us on Wednesday, June 29th. It's an hour and a half virtual workshop where we're going to walk you through exactly how to understand the scorecard of your business. If you want more information, there's a link, 729.eventbrite.com. All of the information is there. It's $24. Get signed up, money back guarantee. If you don't get the value, I have no problem giving you your money right back. I mean, the investment to gain optics on your business are really low, because we want to make sure that in a time like this, there are no roadblocks between you and understanding how to properly set your business up. So the next time this happens, the next time there's a recession or potentially a pandemic or whatever that is, that your business is properly set up. You see, a lot of business owners, this is your first time going through this, because a lot of businesses have been created since the last recession. And so for a good portion of the business owners, you've never been through this before. Now that you're working through it, the next time you want to be more properly prepared. This is why you want to have 3 to 6 months worth of operating overhead, operating cash flow, just sitting in an account somewhere. So that way, if we hit a recession, you're good. Like, those are the kind of things to work through. So we'll walk you through all of what that means and how to properly set up your business and who you need in it and all that kind of stuff on the financial side during this virtual workshop. So join us on the 29th, this Wednesday at lunchtime. And I guarantee the amount of clarity you will walk away with is exponential. The very last thing that may need to pivot in your business this week, simply put, is staying above the point. You see, when we or our team lives below the point, we focus on blaming, finding excuses, and being in denial, candidly, for a lot of us, instead of taking ownership, accountability, and responsibility of what's actually going on. Well, you know what? I just didn't get value out of, this, or you know what, I didn't get my return over here, whatever. Okay. Or you know what, I know I was supposed to get this done, but these four different things came up and I focused on them instead. Or and right, the list goes on. When you don't get things accomplished, or when you don't see a learning opportunity the way it could have been, or whatever that is, my encouragement and coaching to you specifically today is to stop in the moment and go, okay, hold on. How can I take ownership, accountability, or responsibility for whatever ended up happening? Well, as an example, I didn't plan properly for fires to come up and to be able to invest the hour today on moving my business forward. As an example, uh, you're driving somewhere, at least before the pandemic, there was traffic everywhere. You get somewhere late. First thing that most people say is, I am so sorry, traffic was horrible. They're finding an excuse in the moment instead of saying, I apologize. I did not plan properly for hitting the traffic I hit. I didn't plan properly. I'm taking now ownership of the fact that I didn't plan accordingly to be here on time and respect your time, as an example. So there are opportunities for all of us to look at different aspects of our life, different aspects of our business, and take a different level of ownership, accountability, and responsibility. For those that have team, oftentimes when you delegate, which is different than abdicating, when you delegate, if you don't know what that difference is, go look it up, where I'll teach you in a future episode. When you delegate something, you are letting the person know they are now responsible for it and to take ownership of it. Interestingly enough, the accountability piece stays on you. Unless you have a system in place where they are self-accountable back to you, you are then accountable to holding them being responsible of it, to taking ownership of it until they actually do. It's interesting how this whole thing works. Company cultures that live below the point find people who just, I'm not interested in this, right? I'll go find somewhere else to work. Interestingly enough, I have seen people in a culture that lives all above the point. I have seen people who could make a lot more money somewhere else stay because they know that the headache of working in that place is less valuable than the culture of living above the point and having everyone's back. I've seen people intentionally almost make less money to be somewhere that is above the point instead of below the point. So where in your life or in your business do you need to shift your mindset here? First and foremost, taking ownership of understanding the financials of your business may be the first place to begin. So simply put, as Keith Cunningham says, business is a game. If you can't read the scoreboard, you don't know the score. If you can't read the scoreboard, the optics that we started to walk you through today, then you don't know the score. So my encouragement and coaching to you today, start making consistent progress every single day towards understanding the numbers in your business so you can understand how to actually play the game that business is, so that way you can read the scoreboard and understand how to become a winning business. I'm Dr. Michael Hartley. I'm here to elevate your business, enhance your lifestyle, and type into the chat or type into the comments one thing you got out of today, and more specifically, how you are actually going to implement that into your business. You see, just head knowledge is pointless. If knowledge is the only thing that we needed, everyone would be super rich because the knowledge is there. The question is how are you actually going to apply it today or this week? Type it in the comments so I can see what y'all are learning and how you're actually taking action. Bye for now.